The revolution may not be televised, but it will be broadcasted. Welcome to True Culture, where we stay true to all cultures, especially our own. Thanks for tuning in today. You are now vibing with your hosts who love you the most. I am Waddy, and I'm with my partner in shine, Jay Sade. Thanks for
Hey,
joining us for
hey.
the tap in. Today we have dynamic host, model, brand ambassador, Mr. Refuse to Lose himself, Mr. Noya Merolin. Let's give our brother Noya a warm True Culture welcome, please. Let's get it.
Thank you.
So glad
Appreciate
to
it.
have you
Thanks for
here with
having
us,
me.
man. No problem at
Absolutely.
all, man. Thanks for tapping in. Now
Absolutely,
let's get straight to
absolutely.
it, man. Let's get straight to it, Mr. Born in the suburbs, built for the city. For
Oh,
people
okay,
who
get
don't
it.
know about my brother Noya, fill us in, man. Tell our listeners about your backstory and where you come from.
Yes, I would like to say I'm born and bred DMV, born in DC, raised in Prince George's County. I love being from PG, the most wealthiest county for African Americans in the US, So being from that cloth is like I was never too far from the city, but I always had a little bit extra more to be able to enjoy the suburban life, but I wasn't too far off. So it was always like a happy balance growing up. And with that balance, I learned early about the sneaker game and how important it was in order just to be uh, somebody visible in school. So
Mm.
from that point on, I was like, okay, that's the move. And initially, it just became an admiration of art that turned into what you need in order to be popular, which turned into a career option that I love. So now we here to build and talk about creatives and talk about what I do and what we all do. So it's a beautiful
Yes.
thing.
It is a beautiful thing, and it's been
Absolutely.
even more beautiful to see your growth, man, and your evolution. I have
Thank you.
been able to witness it personally, and I'm just loving and respecting what I
Yeah.
see. I told you back in the day, bro, you the next Terrence J, man. I told you, but now you're
You
so the way
called it.
you. I should have never said that. I mean, you're gonna be the next Noya. You know what I'm saying? Like Terrence ain't got
Yeah.
nothing on you.
That's the goal for us all to have our own, trophies and our own accolades, doing our own things in our own way. So yeah, it's dope.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So would you consider yourself a brand?
Yes, like Jay say, I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman. I
Mm-hmm.
finally understand what he meant by that because
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know. I was like, okay, you want to play on words, but to understand that, okay, everything that you do, you eat and breathe, whether you
Mm-hmm.
are with a brand or not, you are still an entity of your own. And the way this social media game has just changed everything,
Mm-hmm.
it amplified what some already knew, but now the masses have no choice but to see because that's just the end thing to do is to have your own brand and to be your own person and associate yourself with those brands. So I would say yes, I am.
So what did your brand represent then? You definitely are a big brand. I just wanted to hear you say
Oh,
it.
thank
Right.
you.
Wanted to make sure
I,
he knew it, right?
Right.
yes, indeed. For my brand, it's just all about having the three M's:
Mm-hmm.
modeling, marketing, and media. So my three M's always go into a web of artistry. So depending on what's asked of me, I always notice they all fall under those three M's. But in general, my brand is really the mixture to show people that you can be dope, you could be cool and still, be solid out here. You don't have to do what everybody else doing in order to swag out and be fresh in it. So it's more like a Fresh Prince meets Carlton Banks. I'm clean cut, but I'm from around the way too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the happy medium for us to build and just show everyday kids that you don't have to necessarily be over the top, but you don't necessarily
Mm-hmm.
have to be hyper thugged out in order just to fit in and be you.
Yeah.
Mm.
Just be
So how
you.
did Oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
No, I
So
mean
how did you?
that was a good message. You know,
Such
just
a
be
good
yourself. You
message.
know what I mean?
And sometimes growing up in the city, sometimes that's hard. So how did you get in touch with who you were and feel comfortable enough to just rock out the way you are?
I would say I had to force myself to have confidence. So prior to, knowing me Swirled and me rebranding myself, people knew me as Noya Merolin. I was doing music. Well, a lot of people don't know the Maryland part is really Maryland. I just changed the
Mm.
enunciation of it. And I did that because growing up, I was from Prince George's County. And I mean, my fam, they was off of Hill Road. Like everybody knows Central Avenue. So it's
Yeah, you grew up
literally
at Cap Heights,
walking
right? You
across
grew
the
up like
city.
Capitol Heights, right?
Right. Yeah. Landover,
Landover,
saying
Mm.
Capitol
Sea
Heights. Okay.
Plaza, Cedar Heights. Like all of my fam live down that way. Like
Mm-hmm.
they live up the hill from the Durants. So just coming from that, it just was like, all right, it's time to balance out and do the damn thing. But um it, it's a bittersweet feeling, but it's just more so motivational for us to continue on, just do dope stuff though.
Yeah. And
For
you mentioned
sure.
that you had to work on your confidence, man.
Yeah, because the
That's crazy
Maryland
for
thing
me to hear
came
that because I
from
feel like you've always exuded confidence,
that was the
man.
Maryland part.
That's
See,
the
like
Maryland part. I dig it.
because everybody from around the way was like, oh, we from DC. People from Maryland was trying to rep DC just because their grandma lived there for 20 years.
Right,
It was
Right.
the
right.
cool thing to
Right.
talk about. So at that point, I was like, no, I'm from Maryland. Y'all tripping. I love my backyard. I love my deer. I love my crickets at night. Whatever. Even though up the street it still was ambulances and the deer just on the side of the road and it's an ambulance walking past. It's like I still love my backyard. Like
Mm-hmm.
I could go to the hood to hang out with my friends whenever, but I like to, sleep well at night. And I feel like anybody who doesn't like to sleep well at night, you may have never had a good night's sleep to know how it
Mm.
feels.
I'm
So
with you on that, man. I grew up partially in Northeast and in PG County too, so I know what it is a perfect balance. It's a perfect medium.
have you all ever seen the movie Widows?
What
Nah,
else?
I've never even heard of it.
Nah, who directs
Really?
that?
Oh my God.
What
I'm
Widows
horrible with
has
titles
Viola
though, so
Davis, starring Viola Davis, and basically her
I haven't seen
husband got killed in a bank robbery, which he actually set up, and he planned his death, and ultimately he left the book for her to give to somebody so she could make the money and live the rest of her life. Instead, she decides to rob and do the job herself
it.
instead of
Mm.
the
Mm.
book to give the book of business for money. And she just didn't know how to respond to it. And whole T, her husband's alive the whole time. So I was going to
Wow.
mention
Damn, I want
it,
to watch the movie now. You didn't tell me though.
it's
I'm
light.
still interested. I'm
I'm
still
gonna
about to
watch it
go see
still.
that.
That sounds
Yeah, it
really
was in the
good though.
theaters and everything.
I'm a
But I was
fan of
going,
Viola Davis. I can't believe I haven't seen that movie.
Me neither.
All
That's why
right,
we needed you, brother. We need you.
you dropping gems
it's
already.
fire. It's
Yeah.
fire. It came out a few years ago, but I was going to say the politician that was in it, they were showing how he would talk to the people in the hood, and they were driving, showing how much of the discussion of power was being had, and within maybe like 5 minutes they was in a mansion on the nice side of town.
Mm.
But that's how it be.
That's how it
And it,
is.
like
That's how it
depending on
is.
your side of Prince George's County, you could be in Woodmore in a mansion somewhere, or you could be in a trap. It just depends. You could be right off
Mm-hmm.
of you could be down Eastover, you could be down Rivertown, Portobello. Like it just depends on your tax bracket for real.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I've had
Mm-hmm.
worse things happen to me in PG County than in DC. For
I
real,
can
worse
Yeah.
second
fights,
that. I
all that.
second
Like,
that.
Yep.
yeah. So you gotta. That's a
Mm-hmm.
major point right there. Major point.
Facts. Facts.
What motivates you, through fighting through having confidence when you have difficult experiences or moments? What are you thinking to keep you pushing? Because you've been in the game for a long time. So, that
Mm-hmm.
definitely doesn't come without having some sort of friction or, you know, thoughts, self-doubt?
Right. I would say my last name. My last name is something that I take dear to me because, you know, your last name it should really stand on something. Um, your last name is something that carries on. It transcends. And when I always look at history and what I leave behind, I wanted to leave behind some sense of legacy and something to carry on for us to build a foundation of some sort. So for me, that was already the flag that I planted to be like, hey, we had a billboard in the city, in the heart of the city. My whole family was able to see that. So in my dying day, whenever that time passed, it'd be like, yo, that was a big accolade that my entire family would be able to share together. And I didn't even have to be there. You could just drive whenever you like, enjoy it, and all of that. So for my family to see that, it was solid. Now it's like, okay, what can we do to make a difference? What can we do to build and strengthen those pillars to have that strong foundation for generations to come, to build that menteeship, that mentorship, and continue to pull up and also pull up, get the people that need help, pull up, and then also try to get the lessons from above as well.
Yeah.
That
And
was deep.
has your family always been supportive of you and, you know, your journey in media and music?
It depends on what side. It depends on who it is. I mean, a lot of times it varies. I had one side of the family that was super musical, super talented, that just needed that sense of guidance, and I would just say just all around discipline. You know how you just too
Yeah.
talented, had too many things. You could play instruments, you could sing, you could move, you could act, but you just don't have the guidance to stay straight ahead and lock in. That's one side. Then I have the other side that's more on the corporate end. They have everything laid out. They love their guarantee, you know, checks and all of that. So I would say I've always been a mixture of both because of my upbringing, but I'm realizing even in this pandemic, you can't rely on just one thing. So I was somewhat doing it right all along.
See,
Now I
you
need to
were.
just
You were.
keep
Perfect
going.
mixture. Perfect mixture, man.
Thank you.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
that
You're
for
welcome.
sure.
Especially nowadays, man. It's like, especially, I mean, your evolution is, you started with music. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I remember your
Yes.
songs, you know what I'm saying? You performed and you were actually in a group, Fame Gang, with your sister. Pretty
Yeah.
major.
Yeah. Her stuff is popping. Yeah.
That's
What's
what's
up,
up.
Mage? Yeah.
Yeah,
We
I think shout
still.
out Pretty Major, man. Yeah. So like how was that? Have you well let me ask you this. When you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Initially, I wanted to do a lot of art. So if you notice, even in my photo shoots, like I have a certain aesthetic that I bring out, a certain type of creativity or colorfulness when I build the aesthetic up. Even with my writing, I was rapping, so I have a literary arts degree. It's easy
Right. I
for
was
me
gonna get
to,
into that one because
yeah,
that's a good one.
it was
Is
easy
that
for
one
me
you
to
got from
shift.
Maryland as well?
Yep.
That's the one you got from right.
That one from Maryland. Yeah. And then I went to PG. I went to 13th
Right.
grade. I earned my associates. So, yeah. Hey, people out there, never be afraid to go to community college. Get your credits. Do not spend extra
Say it
bags for no
again.
reason.
Yes. Shout
Trust
out
me.
PG Community College, by the way.
Yes, I was paying each credit at a time until I made it to a point where I applied for a scholarship. I ended up getting 4.0 and I never looked back. So yeah, never look down at 13th grade. Just ignore all the fellas that's sitting there with no book bags. They not trying to learn. And then the females, they too busy with books. Like they get into it. So get to their classes and see what they're on. You know what I mean?
That was
Absolutely.
great advice, man. Because that definitely was a thing when I was a kid. You know, certain schools you didn't want to go to because it was like high school all over again. And if I could do it all over again,
Right.
I'd be like, forget what y'all saying. You know, spend a couple years at the community college, and then you can get a full ride scholarship. And you know, thinking back, all the money you get to save. but that story you just sharing, really speaks to how well you are able to kind of detach away from distractions and focus in on what you need to do. And so how often do you have to do that even still?
Every day. Like, I wanted to nap for an hour today. Man, that would have been so clutch for me to nap. Oh, like,
Oh, I feel you on that.
and I'm a napper. I love see, if it's like 1 hour, I get groggy. I need about 3 to 4.
That's
And then
not
I
that's
go
not a nap,
run.
brother. But okay.
Yo,
Now,
you
if I
getting
get
that
through
RAM cycle, huh?
You went past the nap, or
regular
maybe
sleep,
I'm
I
thinking
need
about a
3.
cat nap. I'm thinking maybe that is a nap, but I'm thinking of cat naps. So
Well, I guess I nap and it's really sleep because I
It's
nap
like
for
a
like
power
4 hours
naps.
and be good for at least another 10.
there you
And
go.
I'll be up the rest
That's
of the
what's
night
up.
until like 3, 4, go
Yeah,
to
you
sleep.
taking Jay got it right. You're taking power naps, and I'm referring to cat naps. So
Yeah.
either way, it's a nap. We're both right and we're both
Yeah,
wrong.
it's a solid nap, And if
Shit.
you eat before, you can make sure it's a good nap. You could really be up for the next 8 to 10 hours if you eat prior and you drink like
Okay.
some good water, get some
Some
water
good
going.
water.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
very
gotta get
important
the
to drink water
alkaline in your
before
life.
you eat and nap for sure.
Yeah,
I'm
before you lay
very happy you
down,
mentioned that.
get that alkaline water like a half an hour
Mm-hmm.
before you lay down. Smooth all that out.
Smooth water. Is that how you stay so slim and trim and build? Have you been hitting the weights? Have you been in the gym? You keep
I
your
actually
skin
have.
looking good and all that?
Yeah, I'm working on it now because
No.
it's time to switch it up. I'm turning into the young OG, coming up with ideas to create activations for the youth. I got like 2 activations I'm working on right now. So it's like, all right, it's time for me to go from being a saber tooth to turn into Wolverine. Like,
Right.
had the Brawn Man build. But I'm not in my prime yet, so
You
I
definitely
guess.
not. But you're doing. I mean, the stuff that you're doing, the work that you're doing, it's like you're perfecting your craft though. And you're
Mm-hmm.
not
I
even in your
appreciate
prime
it.
yet. So
I know that's a beautiful thing though, because you're accomplishing so much, and I'm an outsider looking in. I know we always feel a certain way about what we need to be doing, but like the
You're right.
impact is still like you're
yeah,
doing a lot and you have such a big impact. So it's just like,
yeah, I'm proud of you, man. I'm just happy that I've been able
absolutely.
to see the growth, man. It's one thing to like to see you and respect what you do. It's another thing to have seen you 11 years ago, 10 years
And I can
ago,
say the same
8
thing
years
for
ago.
you. Like, I never knew you was going to be doing, podcasts and being so organized. So you was
Being
you
so
was
organized.
learning. You
Yeah.
was learning when we first started. Like, you was going through the channels to figure out where you fit in, what type of space, what type of, artistry you wanted to create. So to see the finished product and you like hitting me like a half an hour, you ready? Like, I'm like, okay, she about
Yeah,
her
for sure.
biz. Like, we all have grown in the right direction.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. I feel like we have too, man. It's a beautiful thing, but it's like you said, it's about staying focused and staying true to who you are. And that's
Mm-hmm.
something
That's
I
the
want to
one.
make sure our listeners get that message. Stay true,
Mm-hmm.
stay focused. Those two things together, and don't listen to people. Do what you gotta do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? I did
gotta
I did
rock.
want to ask you though, because you are a college degree recipient.
Hmm.
Do you feel like your college degrees helped you get to where you are, or were they just extra along the way for you?
Oh, it definitely helped me because it woke me up to all of the stuff that I had no idea I was up against. When I went to PG, it was familiar because it's Prince George's County. Like,
Right.
we don't realize how privileged we are as African Americans in our area. I had to talk to somebody and we were just hanging out and they was like, hold on, time out. The waiter's black, the person at the front register black, the cop in here is black too. Like, everybody's black. So I never noticed the culture shock I embraced when I went to University of Maryland, which is in Prince George's County. It's literally the home away from home.
But it's in College Park. College
But
Park
it's in
feels like
college.
they're different. They don't.
Mm-hmm.
They want to be
totally
their own
different.
state. If they could be there, if College Park could be their own state, they would.
Yeah, yeah, they would. So it was a very eye-opening experience to understand what I was accustomed to and how this can groom me into being a more universal individual and understand how the world works in a larger scale than me
Mm-hmm.
being comfortable where I would normally thrive in. But that's quite frankly not the real world
Right.
completely. So yeah, it definitely helped a
That's a
lot
good
to be
point,
fair.
brother. It's not the real. It's a layer. It's an aspect of it, but it's not the real world, and it's not. When you look at the grand scheme of things and the bigger picture, you understand that like I really have to start experiencing things because if I'm going to prepare my life to be successful and to thrive and be able to leave something for my children and actually leave a legacy and maybe even help my family while I'm here,
Mm-hmm.
you gotta open, broaden everything. You have to open everything up and you have to experience life. So I feel like school is a good experience. I went to
Yeah,
Absolutely.
UDC for 2 years, so I didn't finish, but I
nice,
had a basketball scholarship at UDC, and I went there, hurt my
nice.
knee. So I love the fact that you stayed focused because after I hurt my knee in rehab, I didn't go back to school. Something I should have
Mm-hmm.
done, but it's all about the support system and staying focused. So I'm proud of you, brother, for no matter what,
Oh,
transition from PG Community College and you went to Maryland and you finished.
Mm-hmm.
that's the hardest part, just finishing. And quite frankly, that's what it boils down to these days in any and everything you do. Like
Mm,
just finish. I
great
mean,
point.
Show
even if
up
it's
and
a small
finish.
accolade,
Mm-hmm.
get it
Yeah.
done.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry about the long haul, what your plans are. Like if you piece it up, you'll be able to get it done. But when you look at it from a grand scheme of things, you're like, how can I do it? Because I don't have what it takes to get to that point. But you need to go
Mm-hmm.
through those steps to
Yeah.
learn how to get to that point. So,
Yeah. A lot of times you're blessed with these gifts from God and you don't really, but you're not prepared for it. You know what I mean? Like
mm-hmm,
I feel like you have a gift. And I love the
mm-hmm.
fact that you went through the steps to prepare yourself for your gift so that you can give your
Yeah.
gift to the people, and I feel like that's an aspect of life that a lot of times we don't acknowledge or embrace. Is like preparation, like actually
Yep. That's
being
Absolutely.
it.
prepared for what you're stepping into,
And not being
big
afraid
shoes.
to take it on head on, even if you're not
Mm-hmm.
prepared,
Yeah.
because the way life
Amen to
works,
that.
you're never going to be prepared. It's just going to
No.
happen. And the best you could do is just try to keep your best foot forward. What they say, preparation plus opportunity equals success.
Right.
So,
Right.
Mm.
Now tell us how you stepped into the DTLR shoes, man. Like that was a
oh
major
yeah,
accomplishment right there. I mean, you Shoe City as well, right?
I mean that goes into school, like you mentioned. I went to school and I reached out, to see if I could get an internship, and they gave me all the credits I need to fulfill my requirement. But quite frankly, I already landed the internship without College Park.
Mm,
So I just ended up getting extra credit to do something I was going to do anyway, to be honest.
that's such a
Hey,
good
Um,
that's
feeling.
what's up. That
That's double credit right
blessings,
there.
man.
yeah, that's how
Mm-hmm.
that worked. Because before that, I went to intern at Fox 5 News. So since I already interned at Fox 5 News, learned some writing skills, how to report on the spot, things like that. I already transitioned over to DTLR to create some content and do
Mm-hmm.
some blogging when they needed me. And I just talked to College Park to say, hey, can I use this as an internship? And they said, of course, and they gave me a bunch of credits because of it. And I didn't have to do any homework or anything. I was learning hands-on experience with DTLR. But DTLR, I started off out the gate with a bunch of creatives as well. A lot of them we're still friends to this day. We're still tight. And at the end of the internship, I was the last one standing. I came into the game with videographers, as you know, photographers, as you know, and ideas. So while everybody else was looking for what they could get out of the internship, I simply wanted a platform to shine on.
Right.
So I just gave them content, 2 segments under my internship, People started to slowly but surely find other opportunities. Fast forward, I ended up doing some blogging because they like my writing style. I ended up writing so well that they wanted me to be an product article writer. Then I started doing newscasting work with them, DTLR News. Then I started doing social media management work for their various events. So whenever they have social media and you see all the stuff that's going on, but you don't know who's filming it, I've done stuff like that. Just like, everybody who usually has control of the account. So really, I was pretty much a jack of all trades on the media side, just getting in where I fit in and doing all I can to make my presence felt and, utilize the opportunity.
I love
Absolutely.
that.
Well, it takes a particular mentality to see those as opportunities in the way that you did, because not everybody will. What do you attribute your mindset to? Like, to make certain decisions, you have to be grounded in a certain way. So what is that way for you?
Half full. They say, either half full or half empty mindset. So I just choose to look at it half full because, I mean, what half empty going to do for me? Me being upset about not getting the opportunity or me not getting the look, it's not going to give me the look I want. It's not going to pop up in my hands. So at that point, it's like, okay, when you're crying and you're whining and all of that, eventually your parents ain't going to do anything to stop the crying. They going to know, oh, they playing with me. So I'm just going to let them cry right there until they realize that there's no
That ain't
reason
gonna
to
help.
cry at all.
Right.
When
And it
you
ain't gonna
really
help
good
nothing,
for real,
man.
for real. You think something's wrong, but nothing's really wrong. You're just not getting your way right now.
Right.
And eventually, they wipe the tears, they get up, and they go about whatever they gonna do. So whenever I get tough on myself because things are not going the way I see fit, I need to look at it like, what am I not doing? Or what do I need to start doing in order to get the results that I want? That's what I should say. So
Self
that's what I always do.
accountability.
I
That is what
agree.
I wish more Black people would do. Now, it's true that we're
Word.
being oppressed. It's true that this is a repressive regime that we're under. It is true that it's structured for us to lose, but we have to start tapping into our God-given power and asking ourselves, what can I do to get out of this over this obstacle? What can I do to get out of this maze? So I'm
Yeah.
glad that you mentioned that.
Why can't we all make money together? That's
Mm-hmm.
always been my mindset, but it just seemed like in general, us as Black entrepreneurs, as Black creatives, we have all the creative part, but we never get the business really right.
Mm-hmm.
In
Legit.
every industry, we're the swag, we are the juice, we are the drip, we are the sauce, however you want to categorize it. And then these other entities come in, take what we harness and have a talent. They like, let's make this commercial and advertise it, spend millions of dollars and put it out.
Right.
And we're just stuck with the crumbs. So I just feel like we just gotta get better at, like you said, the production and making sure we, break bread and do great things so we can just build empires together so we don't have to go anywhere or ask for permission to get on or to be
Mm-hmm.
hot or be accepted.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So what are the things that are preventing that sort of community from happening?
I would say generational. It's a generational thing. I feel like every generation, at least this is how, my perception of things is when it comes to family and the Black family. Like they always be like, man, y'all generation bad because of this. Y'all generation need to
They
work on
always know why, right? They always have a reason why.
Always.
right. But
Don't
they
try to
don't
talk
keep
to
them.
them either.
They have no idea that, okay, nothing's new under the sun. So if they're talking about smashing and hitting shorty from the back today, you can't tell me that in y'all era, y'all wasn't Freaknik, y'all wasn't Two Live Crew, and you can't tell me the era before that they wasn't like
Yeah.
between the sheets moaning on the radio.
Yeah. Things evolve.
Everything evolves.
So I think
Everything.
it's the lack of, accountability generational wise. I
Yes.
think it's the parenting. I mean, the pandemic showed y'all what time it is. People never had all that time with their kids before. They never had to be full-time parents
Right.
with their kids like that unless you work remote. And usually that's only one parent. So when you have your kids for what, 3 months straight, they can't leave the house. And then you have the whole summer with them and they can't leave the house. You really see like who's the parent. You see who goes to the PTA meetings. You see who's the one that goes to the soccer meetings or who's just dropping their kid off at daycare and they pick them up
Mm-hmm.
after school daycare and they've been with somebody else their whole day. You feed them, you do an hour of homework, and then you put them on the bed. You don't even know your kid.
It definitely shed light on a lot of parenting skills, on a lot of people's parenting skills for sure. I mean, even people who claim to be full-time parents, some of them disappointed me with their complaints during this pandemic. I'm like, you don't know how to do your own child's hair. You don't want to teach your
Patience is
child.
real.
Patience is real, man. Like people had to cook for their family, had to do their own hair, had to do their own children's hair,
Yeah.
had to be the tutor, teacher, whatever. I mean, they had to be everything for their child, but that's who you
Everything.
are from in the beginning. Is supposed to be everything for your child. So
Supposed to be.
I feel you on that, man. I feel like we don't have economic problems. We have social problems. And because we have social
Mm-hmm.
problems, we end up having economic problems because we end up
Mm-hmm.
being vulnerable economically. I mean, putting ourselves in vulnerable positions economically.
All the time, and not nurturing or understanding what we really up against. But that's usually because of, in a way, the economic. Like the parents, they always be trying to kick you out, trying to move you out as soon as possible. Well, I mean, if you look at other families, they let them stay however long. Matter of fact, they could start a whole new
Whole
family
new
that
family.
they be like five families deep. Like
Yep.
no, we just going to get this house and that's just going to be that. But our culture, like, nah, I need to have my own. It's time for me to relax, do what I need to
And that's
do.
how
You,
they're able to save money.
yeah.
While we out
So
here
it,
spending money.
spending money. So guess what you doing? You out here thinking you grown. So now you playing house with whoever. Now y'all messed up in the game and it can really go downhill. And it's just,
Yeah. It's hard for a lot of daughters to get along with their mothers, fathers to get
mm-hmm.
along with their daughters and their sons. You know, it's just hard, I hope we can get there one day where we can get along long enough to actually stack our bread.
Uh, that's why I have no kids now.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be like, my predecessors and have kids young. Like I'm glad that my parents had me, but looking back on it, I'm like nah. Like y'all should have definitely held off a little while, got some things in order so we can be better set for what we need to do. I wish I had nepotism on my side.
Mm.
What you talking about? Like
Real.
that would be great if I could just learn the business and
Mm-hmm.
don't have to worry about school, don't have to worry about internships, worry about politics. I could just work for my dad, for my mom. Oh yeah, that would be clutch. But everything happens for a reason, and I guess that well, I'm not gonna guess. I'm in a position where I'm gonna create it so my children can work for me or they can take the business if they want. I
Right.
just want to give them options. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And because there's just so much intention with, how you move, it just speaks to why you are able to have so much influence the way you do, because you can't have, that kind of, reaction without being intentional and thinking about it. So, we all have to be intentional with ourselves so we can show our children and, challenge how we used to live and make better, more positive decisions for ourselves and our family and communities.
Absolutely. Because, I mean, the lack of thinking is why we in positions we in now as a people. Because we
Absolutely.
went with our emotions, or we decided to go with what was the easier route. And quite frankly, I just gotta make the sacrifices to live the life that I want to live in the near future.
There
So,
you go. Sacrifices, man. Gotta make sacrifices.
Sacrifice.
We're so impulsive, so reactive. You know, I'm glad
hmm
that you mentioned that, man. Just we gotta chill out, man, and respond. I always say this, but I'm
hmm
gonna say it again. We have to respond to situations, not react to them. Take the time to
yeah,
process what's going on. You know, if you
Mhm.
gotta do a little bit more research, do it. But really process the information, digest it, and make a so you can at least have a better chance at making a sound decision. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
there you go. Because
Yeah.
whenever you let emotions take over, that's how things go left, and you can't make it right.
There you go. I like the way you put that. I like the way you
Yes.
put that. Tell us how you decided to have make your Instagram name Noy Meets World.
Oh, yes, simple. My favorite show as a kid was Boy Meets World, and I had the biggest crush on Topanga growing up. So yeah, it was more so a play on words. Like my name is Noya, and it was like, okay, Boy Meets World. All right, take away the A. Noy Meets World. Cool. We can go there. Because whenever I say my name is Noya and people read it on paper, they don't know how to pronounce it.
Mm.
So it was like, all right, just call me Noy. How hard is it to just call me Noy?
Mhm.
Who
So yeah,
names
it
you
was just a play on.
Noya? Who names you Noya, and what is the meaning behind your name?
Uh, I ended up getting that name as a childhood name. So I was running around with a bunch of bad apples, and we used to be doing stuff we had no business doing. Long story short, when things was going down, I was always being the sense of reason or the lookout. So they would call me paranoia, right? So my name was just paranoia because I was always making sure like they didn't get hemmed up or nothing. Everybody else got locked up but
You
me, but
always
whatever.
been a young OG, huh?
Uh, yeah, so I'm like, yo, you should watch out for that. So they call me paranoia, then they call me Noya for short. And I guess one day I was in school, I was like in middle school, and some girls got a hold of it, and it went from my old nickname to Noya, and it just spread like wildfire. And I used to hate it because I knew it was like paranoid. I'm like, I'm not
Paranoia.
paranoid, I'm cautious. Like, what are you talking about?
Right.
I ain't
Right.
trying to get
Smart.
locked up. Like, what do you mean?
Right.
So, yeah, it just spread like wildfire. I'm like, hey, I guess I'm Noya now, and it's like, oh, that's different.
Mm.
You went ahead and embraced it. Now, will
Yeah,
you always keep Noy Meets World as your Instagram handle, or is that something you
it's
feel like
feeling
you'll
that
grow out
way.
of?
It's feeling that way. I'm ready to actually just call myself, yo, what's up, y'all? It's Noya Meets World. Like instead of just saying Noya, like
Mhm.
I don't even want to confuse anybody. Look, it's Noya Meets World. That's my ad. People go by handles these days.
Mhm.
They
Yeah,
got to evolve with the times. I'm not afraid to let my old go for
I
my new
dig it.
new.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I've definitely been going through that transformation for myself. I'm not really one to really participate in like social media so actively, but I don't have a choice. So I had to completely change my perspective and see how it could advance me and move me forward. And it could be a positive relationship.
hmm Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's all about finding the right social site for you. So I guess this is
Hmm.
something that the crowd, the audience can take. Everybody feel like they need to jump to the next site,
Mm-hmm.
but in all actuality, every site has a certain demographic, a certain
Hmm.
view, and a certain reason as to why people go on there. Like, there's still people that's popping on Tumblr. If you're the type of person
Yeah.
that like the collage and you like the look up
Hmm.
stuff, you stay on Tumblr. LinkedIn, if you're a professional, LinkedIn is pumping right now.
Hmm.
Like, so I'm looking like, LinkedIn looking kind of good if I want to get those endorsements, get a grant. I may need to go that route. If
Right.
you're trying to get your shine
Hmm.
on, you go
Hmm.
to Instagram. If you want to stay up to date with people and get a real big base, go Facebook. When you want to get the shock value and all the information quick to know what the people really talking about, Twitter. So it really just depends on what your comfortability is because some people are good at just writing stay on Twitter, build your base on Twitter because you don't like to be seen on screen.
Right. Right.
That
But if
is
you like to be seen
very,
on
very
screen, do
smart for
YouTube,
information.
move around, have the jitters. If you're a jokester, go on TikTok, make funny stuff. Like, find your niche and don't have any problem just sticking to that, because if you're popping on one site versus just having 500 followers on 5 sites, which one you think is better?
Thank you for sharing that.
Oh yeah, sharing is caring. We got to stop holding information from people and
Mm-hmm.
from each other, like, because number one, it's going to make us better ultimately. Number two, it's a great way to inspire and change slowly but surely. And number three, most people that's listening are not serious, so they're not going to do it anyway. But you can't say nobody didn't tell you.
Didn't tell you.
Mm-hmm.
There's a balance with that though, because a lot of times you tell people we want to make sure that we're the kind of people who give our gifts, because you know a lot
Mm-hmm.
of things come to us from God. We can't take credit for them. They're gifts to us, so I'm
Right.
gonna give them as a gift to you. But then you have also the other side to that, whereas though you can't really tell people your ideas too much, because people like, I mean, I'm pretty sure people take your ideas and try to go run with them and do them themselves, and it's certain things you want them to do, but the way they go about it is just all wrong. So
Yeah.
how do you find a balance in that, like telling people but still holding your ideas and your art sacred? You know what I mean?
Right. Well, it just depends on who I'm talking to and the reason why I'm talking to them. Like with the idea that I just gave you in terms of sites, I feel like that idea is just an observation of common sense that
Mm,
people just don't take the time to really look at it from that scope.
right.
So when it comes to things of that nature, I have no problem sharing because it's usually general information just from my point of view, which gives it more depth as to why it makes sense or why it should be validated versus me being like pitching a Shark Tank idea. You know what I'm saying? Being like, hey, this
Right,
is my
right.
idea. I hope you like it. Or do you think you can add on to it? It's like, unless I'm talking to somebody that's in that position, I'm not even going to indulge in that conversation. Or if they want ideas or have ideas, all right, well, let's spark a consultation. Like, let's get some 30 minutes going, because that's how I grew. That's how I started grooming. I started just taking people to lunch and having conversations. It was
Connection, human connection, man. It's the
general
basis
convo.
of everything, man. It's the foundation of everything.
You gotta pay for people time.
Yep.
If you want answers, you gotta pay for people time. And if you feed their belly, what was that? Do you want to pay for, like guys, girls, whatever? Do you want to pay for this date, or do you want to pay for this connection?
Mm-hmm.
Because they're gonna have to eat anyway. So if you be like,
Mm-hmm.
lunch on me, let's just meet up and talk real quick. 15 minutes of your time. I want to learn blase blah. You seem like a great person to learn about the business since you're so successful. You're gonna have them blushing before you even get to the
Right.
question.
Well, see, you're a man who understands the importance of human connection.
Yeah, I cherish my relationships.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's
It's
big for
awesome.
me.
Me too, man. It's a good thing. It's a good
Yeah.
way to live your life for sure. It's a good mentality to have.
Yeah.
The real
So how
ones.
do you? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no,
No,
I
no,
said
go
for the
ahead, man.
real
Go
ones. I was just
Oh, okay.
chiming.
So how do you? Dang, I kind of lost my question. I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. I was just thinking is that a carpet in the background? Like your scarf or
My
whatever is
little
legendary.
tapestry. Thank you. Thank you very much.
It looked like a brown kaleidoscope.
I like to
Like
think of it like
It
those little.
does. It does.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
that's how.
Darn. Well, I don't know what I was going to say, but I did
Dang,
have.
I'm trying to buy you some time.
I love it. I knew it. So I was like, he's smart. He's trying to buy
She's
her a
trying to
few
It is,
respond. She's trying to
few
respond. I'm
seconds,
just
man.
like, just nod and think about it. Just nod.
Right. She
but
took time to think about answering that question though. So
yes,
Yeah.
but it's just really powerful to have you as a black man in our community being so vocal about, sharing your knowledge. And that's the sort of energy that we need. And I look at Waddy as well, and I feel like it's that sort of community that you're not just saying is important, but you're actually out here in the community showing that relationship and investing in that to see it come to fruition. And I believe that's part of the legacy as well. And
Yes, absolutely.
I just commend you for being open about that. And going back to my best, what was the project you were saying, my
Me
best
and
friend?
my straight best friend.
Yes, that's important in our community, because there's so much stigma and friction in that situation, and you using your just such a great person and your influence to
Thank you.
share love. It's really inspiring, and I feel it kind of like setting off other you know it's just igniting more love, more positivity. Like, it's just generating as we're communicating with each other. How important is it for you to give back to the community, and what does it look like for you?
It's always instrumental in everything I do. I'm all about making a difference and making money. That's what I want to do. Both. Why do I have to choose?
That's
Mm-hmm.
ideal right there.
Like, why do you have to be poor and give back to all of a sudden be on the ground level and be humble? And why do you necessarily have to, make all this money without giving some type of conscious effort to give back?
Right.
So I feel like it goes hand in hand in anything I do. Whenever you see me out doing, sneaker reviews, you may actually see me donating too. Like the same way Waddy mentioned Lacing for Ladies, like not too long ago, I did something dropping off stuff for Bombas, socks, and Theodora apparel. Like I just went to the women's shelter and dropped it off. Like called up some people, they sent me some boxes, and I made sure that they were taken care of in the midst of me doing other campaigns and running other initiatives for Diodora when they send me shoes. So same way they could send me stuff for me to make them look good, is like, all right, well, send me stuff so I can also help if you all have some extra perishables that people can use.
Everything that has been said has been of value, and I'm just extremely blessed to have you just to talk to us and to get to know more about you and your brand.
Yeah.
Oh, likewise. I'm glad you all, care enough as women in the media space, being dominant, for the fact it's two of you. Because usually they do the guy girl thing. So, you switching up the
We're
dynamic.
waiting for the perfect man.
Oh, for real? Oh, dope, dope, dope.
We're doing what every black woman should do. We wait for the perfect man to be sent to us by
She
the
said it,
universe.
not me.
It's not
I
that just
feel.
because, and I appreciate you saying that, but I just want to let people know it's not like we're doing this on purpose, because we like to let things flow in the universe to choose our man for the show. So we one day hope to have a male perspective on the show, but this is why we speak to a lot of males. We want that male perspective, but we wanted the right one, man. So we're
I
going to
feel
get
that.
there. But before our time gets short, I want to ask you the big six. And I'm going to ask
Okay.
you 6 questions, and I just want you to, first thing that comes to mind, just go ahead and answer them. What
Mhm.
what radio presets do you have set right now on your radio in your car?
I have some presets for DMV, so 92Q, 93.9, 95.5, 96.3, 99.5, 102.3. And
You got
then the
all
other
of them.
ones are like Philly, New York, Jersey stations whenever I travel out of town.
Dope. What is your favorite artist of all time?
All time. It's so many. Can you give me a specific genre? Maybe I could break it down.
Music.
Can you give me a specific
Oh, you said
genre,
genre.
please?
I'm sorry. I halfway heard you. I'm so sorry, brother. I'm so
No, you
sorry.
good.
R&B. R&B.
R&B. Singers. I would have to say Case. Case. I like Case voice. It's so smooth. Currently, I love Jeremiah. I love
You can only
Neo,
pick one.
Miguel. Oh, it's just one
What is your
of all
favorite artist of
time.
all time? Of all time, too.
It has to be Michael. I could listen to
There you
Off the
go, brother.
Wall
I knew it
all
was Michael. I'm like, why is he
day
not saying Michael
long.
Jackson? But
I could listen to Off the Wall literally all day long.
all day long, man. All his CDs just knock.
Genius.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're so talented in so many ways. Name one thing you're not good at.
Being in cold weather, I'm
Mm.
anemic. I don't like that.
Okay, if you had one superpower, what would it be?
I think to read minds.
That's good. That's good. If you were a type of food, what type of food would you be?
Some type of vegetable.
Some type of good
Food.
answer, brother. Good answer.
Yeah, I'm all about that, vegan, pescatarian swag. So yeah, some type of
Some
vegetable.
vegetable. If you could switch lives with one person for one day, who would that person be?
One day. After seeing the Dicky music video with Chris Brown, I like to see how Chris Brown live.
Wow. I
Yeah,
didn't
it was
think
a
you would
little
choose that.
Dicky
That's a
music video when he was like being
Mm-hmm.
Chris Brown. I
yeah.
thought that would be kind of cool to see how he would live.
Mm-hmm.
All
That was
right.
fun.
Good
That was
answers. Good
fun.
answers.
That was a creative video.
So
Yeah,
yes, man. We appreciate Noya for being here with us today and sharing, dropping these gems on our listeners and sharing his story about his journey. Please tap into Noya Meets World. Noy Meets
yes.
World. Look, I'm saying your name right though, Noya.
Yes,
Tap
yes.
into Noya Merolin. Please tell them all your handles and how to contact you.
Yes, indeed. So, for all of my Globetrotters, I am Noy Meets World. That's Noy. So, instead of a B, it's an N. Noy Meets World. Just the way it sounds on all social media. DM me, contact me. Uh, it's all about keep applying pressure. Make sure that you do what's best for you at all times and never give up. Thanks for having me, ladies.
There you go. There you go. Now we're going to end this like we do, like we end every show on a positive note. Today, I want to quote the late great Maya Angelou. I want to say, if you don't like something, change it. If you
Mm,
can't change it, change your attitude.
mm.
Stay tuned to True Culture on Human Nature TV, HUEman Nature TV on YouTube, SoundCloud, Instagram, and also Twitter. Thanks for tuning in with us today. The revolution may not be televised, but it will be broadcasted. Peace.